All right, everybody. So welcome. It is good to have you here today, wherever you may be in this world. It is Thursday, September 4th, 2025, and you are about to land a job for the remainder of 2025. We are coming up here towards the end of the year, as amazing as it seems. We have less than 100 and I think 20 days left in the year. And if you want to also, if you're counting at home, we have about, 3 months and 2 weeks, 3 weeks until you open Christmas presents. And so, it is a time. And it is time indeed to get into the last remaining bits of your job search before the end of the year. And it is a good time to hop back into the job market. If nothing else, for the fact that people are coming back from their summer vacations, they are burning off the rest of their budgets, and they are planning for next year. And so it should be very interesting to see how HR professionals and recruiters react as the year goes on. And so you may be wondering, who the heck am I? If you've never met me before, my name is Albert. I named a company after myself, Albert's List, and I'm a San Francisco Bay Area born and raised job search entrepreneur. I'm a job seeker just like yourself at certain points in my life. And so I founded Albert's List because I wanted people to gain the skills, knowledge, and insights that I had so that they could become great job seekers too. And these days, what we also do is we teach job search skills, AI skills, and side hustle skills. Because my goal, and my goal for you, and my goal for me, is that we all become the most resilient and indispensable job seeker that exists out there on the market. And so I want you to just, visualize, because this is what it looks like for me, is that no matter who hires you here on out, no matter where you are in your life, that you have the skills to find a job when you need to find a job, to use AI and be proficient at AI so you can be successful, and then also to start a side hustle if you must, so that you can make extra income and never worry if you don't have a job. And so that's what my is for Albert's List. For everything else that we're doing today here in this community, in this webinar in particular, it's to teach you those job first skills. And so that's one of my goals for it. All right. So here's the agenda that we have for today. And here's really what I want to cover in the next 41 slides or so. I want to give you a really quick rundown of the state of the job market. All that gaslighting that you probably have been hearing from everybody around why the job market is this or why the job market is that. I want you to know that it is all sadly true to some effect, or rather sadly false, that the job market is not doing as great as we've been thinking of it. And we'll go through the stats. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. So if you've been to a webinar like this before, one thing that you know that we do is we like to talk a little bit about the trend, or rather what to do in a job search. And in the past I've done these tips where I talk about being a great interviewer, and I talk about how you have to network, and I talk about how you have a really great attitude. And one thing I want to do differently this time is I want to cover the trends that matter and what you should do based off of those trends instead. Because I think we're heading into a very precarious part of our job market where we can really no longer think about it as, oh yeah, go out and, go on Workday and look for a bunch of jobs, or go to the next career fair that you see in town and stop by all the booths, right? That's very 1995 job search strategy. And I'm hoping I don't give that today, because it's not really going to help. And yes, this webinar will be recorded. It will be on YouTube. We'll send it to you afterwards. We'll chunk it up into YouTube stories as well, shorts as well, so you can see more of it. And then the third thing in today's webinar is I would like to show you how you can take action. And so we'll be promoting a few events that we have coming up that are in addition to this, that may be helpful for you. And then I'll take some questions and answers here and there. May asks, I would like to know your personal experience in the job scene, specifically in the Bay Area, and the perspective of the recruiter. Yeah, so we'll talk about that for a little bit here, but basically, it's a tough time in the Bay Area unless you work in AI. If you're somebody who happens to work at OpenAI or Meta on their AI team or Google on their AI team, you're getting thrown, $1 million bonuses. But if you're everybody else, you're kind of maybe taking a pay cut, or unless you're in a really super hot industry, it's really, really tough to see what's going on or what's good for people right now. So here are some of our goals for today's webinar as we go through a few bits of slides here. Number one is I want to provide a 50,000-foot view of the job market and then zoom in on where we're going to be going there. And that is what we're going to do in the next section, the first section of today's presentation. Then the next section is we're going to leave you empowered to embark on your job search. And these are going to be some tips. These are going to be some tricks. I'm not going to be going through any of the trends and predictions I made earlier this year, mostly because those slides take a lot, but you will see those in How to Land a Job in 2026, which will come out in December when we do this presentation again, with all the new things that are going to happen in the next 3 months. And then we're going to give you the resources to move forward with hope. So we have webinars coming up. We have other events coming up as well. And our calendar is growing by the moment. And it'll be a chance for you to engage in specific spaces, whether you want to learn AI, whether you want to become a better interviewer, or whether you want to just get a jump start on your job search and really make a difference with what you're doing with your life when it comes to your job search. Because maybe some of you are stuck. I don't know yet. All right. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the state of the job market. And so you've probably read a lot of news. If you're on the Alberts List community, you see the words from your colleagues and peers every single day. Or maybe you just follow what the financial news says and they tell you that the unemployment rate is 4.2% and that the job market is okay and things are not so bad. And, really, I wish I could tell you that, but it's definitely not that. So this is where we've been so far, right? So this is tech layoffs between January of 2024 and September of 2025. We are at a point now where we have seen less layoffs, even though layoffs continue to happen. And this doesn't include all of the mess that just happened last week, where Oracle laid off what seemed like a few thousand people, and Salesforce announced that they're probably going to cut another 4,000 people because of their investments in AI. And I would say that, what we're seeing right now is sort of a stagnancy in this market. Interest rates remain high, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And that really discourages companies from wanting to hire. Meanwhile, you have what's considered a quote unquote low unemployment rate, but it's really hard to say. It's easy to say, right, that the unemployment rate is a lot higher, but this is the official layoff calculator of what they want you to see right now. And overall, right, it's not like too great when you look at it. And one of the impacts that we're seeing with why this is happening the way it's happening is the fear of the impact of tariffs. Not going to come out and be too political here, but right, the cost of tariffs essentially becomes a tax on the consumer because businesses always pass on costs to the consumer. And we're seeing a lot of tariffs being levied on various partners around the world. And why this affects your job search in one way or another, depending on the type of employer you work for, is that as the cost of making goods goes up, businesses need to find money in order to pay for those goods. And so that usually comes from employees like yourself and myself, who are the most expensive operational expense that costs a business, because not only do we cost salary, but we also cost benefits and taxes and social security taxes and Medicare and all of that stuff. And so this is creating an interesting squeeze that will play out over the next couple of months, especially as we get into shopping. And so as we look at tariffs and as we look at all this, it has a negative impact on the job market. And the closer you get to something that will have a tariff impacting it, the worse things will be for you. So if you work in automotive, possibly processors and chips, anything that has to do with a consumer-driven good like a toy, or even or even computer equipment or anything of those things. These things are all going to become more expensive over the next few months, and companies are going to have to dip into their existing money, and that's going to get us there. And right, yeah, tariffs equal recession. If you all watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you remember Ben Stein's little lecture in there about the Holly Smoot tariff, right? And so we've tried this before about 95 years ago, and it didn't turn out well for us. The Holly Smoot tariff exacerbated the Great Depression and kept us there until pretty much we had to figure out some way other out, which ended up being World War II. And so tariffs historically have not worked unless they have been specifically targeted. But because these are broad-based tariffs, everyone stands to hurt. And if I'm wrong in a few months, you're more than welcome to come onto a webinar and tell me, Albert, you were wrong. I don't trust you anymore, and I will completely understand. But if I'm right, and really, I hope I'm never right on these things because the collateral damage on these kinds of things is people's jobs, livelihoods, and the impact of family. So I would rather see good news than bad news, believe me. And I don't profit off of that either because it's just a good economy where everybody is doing well is an economy that is good for everybody. So I'll get off my soapbox on that for a moment. And so, because we have these tariffs and because we have all the things that are going on, we're seeing a lot more layoffs, right? And so, Salesforce cut 4,000 jobs because Agent Force can now do the jobs of many of their customer service folks. ConocoPhillips is going to cut 25% of their jobs because oil prices are going down, and it's something that that's not doing great for them, even though oil companies seem to make tons and tons of money. Just a couple of days ago, Oracle laid off a ton more people, all despite the fact that they are getting billions and billions of dollars a year to host OpenAI's infrastructure. And Cisco is also getting hit as well, and software engineers are getting hit. And so, it's an interesting economy now because you see a lot of people who otherwise, in better times, had the pick of their job, software engineers, product managers, data scientists, and they're all now out looking for work. And that should be a red flag for everybody because this area tended to do pretty well for the last 15 years when we had near zero interest rates. But now that money costs something to borrow, it's only going to get harder. But if you want to believe the government numbers, and we all know what happened at the Bureau of Labor Statistics last month, when when President Trump fired the head statistician for having numbers she didn't like. This is what the numbers look like right now. So we're seeing an unemployment rate of 4.2%. We saw job creation figures revised down by 250,000. ADP came out with their numbers yesterday showing that only 54,000 jobs were added, and we're expecting a jobs report tomorrow. And maybe the most important thing that's going to come over here in the next couple of months, or actually the next couple of days, that is going to be important for all of us to remember and recall is the fact that we're going to get another revision number from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And reports say that it's going to show that 950,000 jobs, there were 950,000 fewer jobs than pretty much this time last year. And so if you found that it's hard to find a job and people are gaslighting you and telling you that you're wrong and maybe it's you and not the economy, I want to say that it is in fact the economy, and you can tell those people that they are right. And so tomorrow's jobs report is going to be really interesting. If you join the Alberts List community, you're going to see me post about it and report about it, and it's going to be really interesting to see where things stand and where people fit within it. The consumer price index is also really important too. Uh, and so as we were saying earlier, right, things like tariffs, anything that raises the inflation rate is also not great because it makes the Fed want to raise interest rates, even though they're looking to lower interest rates. And a higher interest rate means less investment in new areas and risk-taking areas. And so that leads to potential less employment. Yes, Stuart, that's the Facebook community that I mentioned. Yeah, absolutely. IS writes, I think most of the job cuts are not because of tariffs, but rather because of AI advancements and company realignments, because now much of the work being replaced by AI. Yeah, so I would say part of it is that, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a bit here. Um, we did see that Salesforce did lay off 4,000 people because AI can do a lot of that work now. Klarna, the payments processor, has also laid off a ton of people because AI can do a lot of that work as well, even though they're bringing back some individuals as well. And we've also seen some cuts um, due to uh, due to just contractors leaving, like at Duolingo, where they no longer need translation being handled by actual translators but rather being done by AI. So it's interesting to see how that all evolves. All right, so as we were saying, right, like AI is taking over. This is right on topic, right on cue. And so, we've had mass layoffs at places like Microsoft, Intel, Salesforce, and IBM. Although I would arguably say that Intel is for probably reasons of them not going into AI as quickly as other people. And now, the US government has a 10% stake in them. Microsoft, on the other hand, laying off to readjust for AI, roles being taken over by AI. There have been reports that they've written where they've talked about the jobs that will be affected most by AI and so forth. And then you have Salesforce, right? Salesforce laying off 4,000 people because they no longer need to have those customer success jobs there, and those can be done by AI themselves. And so this is actually another piece now here too. In addition to AI impacting, we are also seeing some really big flashing red in this economy. And so earlier this week, the job turnovers, job JOLTS report came out. And so what was seen is that we are now at a point where we now have more people who are unemployed than there are job openings. 7.18 million job openings and 7.24 million unemployed workers. We haven't seen this since April 2021, as we were getting out of the pandemic and going into the Great Resignation era. And so, yeah, this is becoming a concern. And so every time this has happened, things have not ended very well. And so we're about to see a situation where we're at what the Federal Reserve might consider a perfect employment situation, and that's why they're lowering interest rates. But if you're also finding it hard to find a job, this is something that you should screenshot and send to your friends, because if they've been gaslighting you and saying that, oh, the job market is fine, the downward trend really shows that the number of job openings is declining quickly and the number of workers who are unemployed is increasing quickly. And so this is also something to watch over the next couple of months. So my forward forecast for all of this is indeed what you probably think I'm going to say, is that it's absolutely getting worse. Tariffs, government layoffs, AI are continuing to bring significant downward pressure. And this is a much different prediction than I had from the beginning of the year. Before everything that's happened, I thought perhaps we could see a nice soft landing and we'd return to employment, but it's not happened that way. Um, your stock market is continuing to do great, but it doesn't mean that it reflects how everybody else is doing. And so if we end up having higher employment and higher inflation due to AI, I mean not due to the tariffs, then we may be in a situation of stagflation, or we might just see higher employment overall because AI has taken so many jobs. But AI is certainly an area to consider and think through. And so I wrote earlier in the year that something will give before the end of the year. And I would say that we're at a point where something is starting to give, especially if you look at charts like this, and especially if you look at charts like this. And so those are all the signs that something is starting to give. I really hope that maybe we can kick the can down the road into the new year. But unfortunately, companies will lay off and fire people right before the holidays. So, yeah. Uh, yes, Christopher. Somebody did indeed campaign in 2024 to do that. But we're here to talk about reality and the data. And so if somebody has alternative facts that they'd like to share with me, maybe we can debate those. So let's talk a little bit about the end of the year trends and what to do, right? So, uh, prior to everything that we had here, I would really turn this into a here's how to find a job section. And while I find that to be compelling, important, and interesting, I think what I want to really do here is offer some of the trends that are going on in this job market and really offer you the opportunity to think through how this may apply to your own career versus giving you probably some cookie cutter tips. Although you're probably going to think some of these are cookie cutter anyway, given where we've probably been with all of this. So what I want to start with is to understand what's ahead in this job search. And I think you're probably all seeing it at some point here, that it's the toughest job market since 2008 and only becoming more difficult as we have more unemployed people than openings. But also as a downstream effect of that, that competition is fiercer, and that it's probably going to be one of these times where you start looking for opportunities in unlikely places. So if it's being a substitute teacher, it's that. If it's becoming an entrepreneur, it may be that as well. Right. And that's why Albert's list, we do side hustles and related activities because we realize that tech is so volatile and white collar work is so volatile right now that you have to find things that are predictable for yourself. And if it means betting on yourself, then, that's important too. I think it's also important to understand that some industries are faring better than others, but everything will eventually be inevitably connected. And so it's time to be really creative in terms of how you think about everything. And so the first trend is maybe probably pretty obvious for anyone who's been in job search for a while, is that you understand that the strategies have changed. And this is really everything from the big picture to the small details. Being first to a job listing now plays to your advantage. If you go on LinkedIn and you see an open job that was literally posted 5 minutes ago and it matches what you do, it is your prerogative to apply. Waiting until the next day or waiting 3 hours is not going to help you anymore. You must apply then and there and have everything that you have ready to go. And you can use LinkedIn search to toggle that as well by going into the URL bar and basically looking for jobs by the minute or how many minutes ago they were posted. Another thing that's important more than ever is networking. So leverage relationships. Uh, Go to people who you have warm contacts with, people who you went to school with, people whom you used to work with as well. Yeah, and actually, Brian, that's another good point too. Um, College graduates, especially those who are not AI experts, are also finding it difficult to find work. Um, and then I would also say that one of the other things that I just learned, and we'll be doing a webinar on this in October, is that is starting a podcast. If you start your own podcast, it's your chance to interview potential people who can hire you. So that's another creative piece that we're going to be talking about as well. And then the other thing is, like many of you are doing here in the chat right now, is to acknowledge that it's really hard. If you've been beating yourself up over the last 6 months, 8 months, 24 months because you can't find a job, I want you to pat yourself on the back right now and really acknowledge and really take in that I'm proud of you for showing up today and sharing your opinions in the webinar chat and commiserating with others who are going through something similar. Um, because it is hard. And I know there are people out there like Gary Vaynerchuk who will say, go apply to 50 jobs, right? You want a job? Go apply to 50 jobs. And I watch those videos and I'm also like, yeah, that's not quite the move either. Like I know you're a social media influencer and you've got millions of people, but that's not the move because you still need to be focused in terms of how you apply for a job and position yourself, especially if you're in white collar. Now, if you're, working at Walmart and you want to go work at Target, the economics of that are a whole lot different. But that's not many of you. Many of you are data scientists, project managers, product marketers, software engineers. You're very educated. Not saying that other people aren't educated, but you have a little bit of a different way of going about things. So, yeah. Trend number two is that it's all about AI skill. And so, this one's a little bit, I guess, maybe obvious or trite by now. Um, but, it is pretty evident that having the right AI skills, this is Gary Vaynerchuk, who put that on one of his YouTube or Instagram stories a few weeks ago. So trend number two is all about AI skills. So there's a couple of things that are happening here. OpenAI, Apple, and Google or others are spending hand over fist to acquire AI talent at the expense of their organization. And even Meta, right, just started they acquired a bunch of AI talent, and that AI talent is beginning to leave because they don't have a strategy. And so just spending the money doesn't necessarily work, but uh, the amount of money that is being spent on 6 and 7 figure salaries shows their emphasis. And while there's a talk of a bubble, this is an area that I think is going to continue to grow because I think technology and the tech industry really, really want to make this happen. And so they're going to seek more energy sources, more funding rounds. And so if you have a technical background, consider where you can translate your skills in this area. And if you're non-technical, consider where you can support. So if you're an admin assistant, go support the CEO of an AI company. If you're a project manager, go see how you can project management AI implementation. So yeah. Kat, I have something for you coming up around that. If you're looking for a free workshop on how to level up your skills in AI, we have how to build AI skills for your career on our Eventbrite page, and we also have how to prepare and launch your job search with ChatGPT in 1 hour in about 13 days that you can also join us for. So trend number three is a continuation of trend number two about it's all about AI skills part two. And so what this means is that this is more so for you as an employee rather than the industry as a whole. So, right, you've heard by now that either you will learn AI or somebody who knows AI will replace you. And what you need to do is you need to apply AI in all facets of your job search, as well as figuring out how AI works in a side hustle or a one-off project, or look for AI communities like ours. And so, Albert's List, we host AI workshops every single month on a variety of different areas, whether it's starting your own side hustle or figuring it into your job search. And we do that because we know that the sooner you learn these AI skills, the more attractive you'll be within the industry. And there's no doubt about that, given just how companies are looking to replace employees with AI, or that you now have talk of how you have the next future $1 billion company will be, AI based. And so, yeah, that's a piece of it. And so, what can you do to learn AI for your job search? You can use AI as a mock interviewing partner to edit your resume and cover letter, as a personal branding tool, as an accountability partner, to identify what company you want to work for, to follow up in networking, or to evaluate your LinkedIn. Um, yeah. So Brian has a really great question. How will we know what AI skills are needed if we aren't actively working and seeing what tasks are done with AI? So, whatever career you're currently working in is where AI will directly affect you. So, I'll use marketing as an example. In marketing, there's going to be a lot of areas that are affected by AI where AI will be a complementary tool or AI will be something that completely replaces an entire process. And so, let's say, for example, I'm a copywriter or I'm a content marketing manager. As a content marketing manager, AI is going to be used to used as something that can be for writing the first draft of a blog post or creating a content calendar that can be used to figure out what an entire month's worth of content will look like. Or it can be used to develop reach out messages if you're in sales, or it can be used to write email copy or develop entire go-to-market strategies, right? AI can obviously not help you execute upon those go-to-market strategies, but it can help you create something that you can then take and refine. And so, depending on what industry you're in, think about a repeatable task that you need to do every single day. Think about a creative task that you have to do every single day. And then think about how AI can impact that. and then go and learn those AI tools so that you can become better at it and be somebody that a company can look to when that AI becomes a lot more prevalent. Maria asks, do we place AI on our resume as we use the tool in our search? Yes, you absolutely do. So if ChatGPT is something you're using, mention that. Another one is Anthropics and Claude. Another one could be Google Gemini, and all are part of the things that you can use, including even Microsoft Copilot. If you have a question, please use the Q&A or the webinar chat. And so here are just a few, right? I have these as slides, so feel free to take a picture of them. There's ChatGPT, which I abuse the heck out of every single day. There's Claude as well, and you can use these for resume writing, aligning the job description, etc. And we'll go through these in our 1 hour webinar in a couple of weeks here, where we talk about ChatGPT and strategizing and executing on your job search. There's also other ones. So Teal is a good one. Callings.ai, which was mentioned earlier in here. If you go to callings.ai/Albert and sign up, you will get a month free. I'll go ahead here in the chat. There we go. And then there's application automation like lazyapply.com. And those things are not about quality, but are more so about quantity. So if you do want to apply to a million different jobs and wake up to, 1,500 maybe not so relevant requests to interview you, this may be the way to go. Nicola asks, I'm a graphic designer and AI seems to be replacing us. What advice do you have for getting into AI in my field? Or should I look for AI work in an entirely different area? So here's the thing that's interesting to me. And I thought about this maybe a year ago to be true, but I don't know that that's true now. Is that, well, I mean, there's a couple of thoughts, right? So number one is AI is a strategist that uses existing data and information to help it make its decisions based on inference. As a creative person, you're creating new things. And maybe you're also creating things from old, but if you're creating things from old, then that's something that an AI could use. If you're creating something from new that hasn't been seen before out there, that AI can't necessarily replicate, then that puts you in the driver's seat. On the other hand, you also can become a creative strategist. So what AI is slowly doing to repeatable process jobs is that it's turning them uh, into commoditized positions and roles. And so if you're a graphic designer, you can easily be replaced. But if you're somebody who does the creative thinking around graphic design and can think through soup to nuts about how graphics and how creativity works within a particular organization, then that completely changes the game for you. And if you're early on in your career, I would probably move into something else where you can still be creative, but not yet quite replaced by AI in total. And remember, right, AI is trained on things that already exist. But if you can really think out of the box and be, as what the young people say, very based in how you approach everything, or, be a degen to some effect, then I think you will find yourself in a much better place. And I wish I could give you the ins and outs of what you can do to be more creative in that sense. But that's not me either. I'm just talking about it from a very strategic scheme. Okay, so there's some other things. Google has Google Interview Warmup. You can use ChatGPT for interview stuff. There's also starmethod.coach, which I do believe has a fee on it. I'm just recommending it here. I do not get paid. Trend number 4 during these interesting times is to focus on opportunity. And so opportunity means a lot of different things, I think, it means to, right? We have bills to pay. There are unfortunately mouths to feed and so on. And so you really have to think about what it is that you have to do to get your foot in the door anyway. And number one is to take a contract for income. I know like having stacked 6-month, 12-month, 18-month contracts, even 3-month contracts don't necessarily look great on the resume. But if you need a job, you need a job. And so reach out to staffing agencies, take on those temporary gigs and see where they go. Even in a market like this, having experience is important to get you in the door. And what will get you further will just be uh, having taken on something and being working while other people might have sat at home while looking for a full-time job. It's not settling in this sense. It's just finding something where you can continue to build your experience and build your book of work. If a capital is there, start a project, right? And that's a focus on opportunity. I would say, looking at the world today, uh, people are becoming influencers. People are going viral on TikTok for the most unexpected of things. And so, if you have a microphone, if you have a smartphone, starting a project is one of the great places to start here. Number three is to look into unlikely places. I would say if you're still young and maybe becoming a tradesperson is something that you're willing to do, that may be a place to go. A lot of local schools have substitute teacher shortages and teacher shortages overall. And so if you're an engineer and you can teach math, more power to you. So things like that. And then networking in the right communities. So Albert's List, we're a very general job search community. But if you're looking for something that is even more powerful, go look at the specific trades community. So if you're in marketing, like the American Marketing Association, if you're somebody who codes, going to the computer science ones, or any of those is really going to help you as well. Google Warmup, by the way, is the name of the technology. So if you go back to, I believe, this slide, this is where it's coming from. Yep. There we go. Yeah. So Michael's got the idea. Yeah. A REIT interviewing at a real estate investment house. There you go. Trend number five is to target the right industries. So this is about moving as the market evolves. You have to know where your skills transfer, and you can use AI to do that. And right now, more than ever, it's important to ride the wave of what's hot and avoid what's cold, because what's cold is likely going to be laying off for what's hot, right? So if you were somebody who is working in, let's take an example, Oracle's traditional on-premises technology, which it still has a lot of. Oracle is trying to get rid of that so that they can go into AI. And so you need to see where you can move so that you can go into a more AI-centric role. And then the other one is to be flexible to change, right? And so one of the things that keeps on growing and has really been carrying the entire market for the last 15 years has been the healthcare industry. Healthcare is continuing to grow. And as I joke, if you're willing to clean a bedpan and take care of people as they age, then healthcare is perfect, or to fill out paperwork. And healthcare for me is a growing industry that will be at least growing all the way through 2047. And the reason why I chose 2047 is because baby boomers were born in 1947 and they are turning pretty much 65 all the way through uh, I would say uh, the night they were basically born 1947, 1962. And so if you add 65 years to 1962, you get 2027, which is pretty much 2 years from now. And then if you add another 20 years on top of that, because baby boomers have the mentality of being invincible, you end up with 2047. And so if you start a healthcare job today and you're in your mid 30s, it will take you into retirement. Yeah, the healthcare industry will also keep some Oracle servers in business too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Fontella, you're absolutely correct about that too. Software is needed everywhere. So if you want to go be a software engineer in healthcare, if you want to be a software engineer in manufacturing, tech is eating the world, as is AI. And so what is actually growing, right? So this is the Bureau of Labor Statistics chart for the July 2025 job report. We're going to get the August report at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. And if you see where things really grew in the last month, in thousands of jobs, private education and health services added 79,000, retail added 15,000, finance added 15,000, and leisure and hospitality added 5,000, and transportation and warehousing added another 3,600. What's not doing well? Well, as many of you do come off Albert's list and off of meetup groups where we focus on information related jobs, information lost 2,000, government lost 10,000, manufacturing lost 11,000, and professional business services lost 14,000. And so what that really means is that if you're rolling off a contract, if you were working for the federal government or an impacted state and local government area, or you were working in manufacturing, the odds are is that your July is not looking great for you. But if you're looking to work in education, if you're looking to work in financial services, then you're doing okay for yourself. Michael asks, where would you direct a 58-year-old with an MBA and a computer science and 16 years of strategy and finance? Well, I mean, it may be time for you to start your own CPA firm, or do financial consulting, or, start a whole entire financial services YouTube channel. Or yeah, run to healthcare or long-term care. Yeah. Teach, consult, taxes. The one big beautiful bill just passed, right? So that's an opportunity for you to apply all the things that you've learned in your years of doing financial work into an area where you can help companies save a ton of money or individuals save a ton of money as well. Yeah, private education in this section refers to private schools. I don't know why they mix private education and health services into one here. I believe that if you took private education from this, you would probably still see at least 70,000 health services jobs. And we're probably going to see this section increase again in tomorrow's jobs report because the new school year just began. So it'll be really interesting to see what these numbers look like. The other thing that we're looking at, right, with healthcare, and this is a chart that I'm going to emphasize as well, is the projected percent employment change of these healthcare jobs through 2031. And so nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, physical therapists, occupational therapists are looking really, really, really good. My mother just got a knee replacement in June. She had someone who comes, I think, to her home every single week to help her walk and gauge her physical capability. And if you think about that, and if you multiply that by millions and millions of boomers, that's a lot of jobs. And so if you're somebody who's really great with people, if you're somebody who's really patient, and if you're somebody who wants something different every single day, where maybe you're driving to a different patient's home, or you're in a hospital where things are moving and moving quickly, and you're used to that startup life, then healthcare may be right for you. And if healthcare is right for you, then there are plenty of jobs to be had. So, look, I came into this webinar saying that that we'd be that it would sound negative today, but it actually turns out that perhaps we're going to leave with some hope as well. So if healthcare is something that maybe you're thinking you're going to look into after today's webinar, hit me a thumbs up and give me a reaction of how you feel about that. And so the other piece here, as we're looking at, is also this year's fastest growing job sectors through April of this year. And again, if you look at the very top, healthcare and social assistance from February through April of this year added almost 200,000 jobs. Transportation and warehousing added another 50. Professional and business services and financial activities added another 30. And information lost about 2,000, which is very much an AI related thing. And so again, right, I think that what we're looking at here, and this may be not so much of a great chart because we haven't looked at the impact of tariffs, but healthcare and social assistance is outpacing the next thing by almost 4 times. It's lapping second place almost 4 times. So healthcare may just be it for everybody. We should all become nurse practitioners, therapists, and everything in between. So I want you to look for what's going on. Yeah, Michael, I wanted to find another better chart, but I couldn't really find one. So, but I think the healthcare point is kind of made pretty well here. Trend number 6. So as you go into these interviews, um, the importance of interviewing is even more amplified. Interview like you mean it. Let me go back to this. So, Kelvin, you said, what about someone in their mid 50s? Healthcare is still available for you too, I would say. If not being, a healthcare leader in an organization, or if you really just want to be a nurse and work with people who are even older than you, or possibly even people who are younger than you. If you're somebody who has a tech background, apply what it is that your skills are in tech into a healthcare setting. So if you are, let's just say again, marketing, right? Look at how you can promote a hospital as a public information officer, or look at how you can work in health tech and be a product marketing manager for a healthcare app. If you're somebody who works in IT, there's a lot of different technology that supports a hospital now. And think about how you can work in the IT department of a hospital. So there's a lot of different opportunities. All right. So trend number 6 is to interview like you mean it. And, I say this because interviews are harder to come by than ever. And so you have to interview like you mean it. And what does that really mean here? It means that you have to understand what's at stake and that you have to understand how you create risk as a candidate, especially if you've been unemployed for a while, and know where you excite employers and focus on that. You have to really know how to tell a story and your impact and really share your special sauce along the way. And so this isn't a trend per se, although the interview like you mean it is a trend for sure because every single interview is something you must covet. And I kept this here as a trend because I really want to emphasize that if you're getting into the interview round, you're being noticed really well. And that in this situation, you have to really stand out and stand apart. And so, what does interviewing look like, right? And when I say it's what's at stake, it's what's at stake for these 6 areas. What's at stake for you, the customers that you serve, the boss that you work for, your colleagues, the company that you're working at, and the industry that you're serving. And this is all about big picture conversation. If you don't understand why you're applying for a job and how you fit and how you position yourself, you absolutely will not make it to the next round. But if you're able to tell the story and help your stakeholders understand where you fit, you're going to do really, really well for yourself. Kelvin, congratulations on your first in-person interview since 2018. You should absolutely still wear a tie and dress to impress. I cannot emphasize that anymore. That even though, you may be overdressed, that's one thing that you can still control, especially in Silicon Valley. And I urge you to absolutely do that when you can. So what are the types of interview questions out there, right? I'm going to read the left column because you can read faster than I can speak it to you. But basically, there's multiple types of interview questions out there. And it's important to know what they're looking for and what they really want you to figure out, what they want to figure out from you, because every single interview question is going to either qualify you or disqualify you from the job. And so it's important that you know how you're answering these questions and answering them in detail. Trend number 7, we mentioned this a little bit earlier and we're back to it, is to use your network. Employers more than ever are swamped with applications, and the quicker they can reject you, the better. And so if you can focus on meaningful networking over blind applying, it's going to work better. So building warm and hot leads and relationships is going to help you a lot, and have an ongoing cadence of meetings. So there are 60 of you on this webinar right now. That means all of you should be sharing your LinkedIn profiles, mentioning that you met that person through me, and I give you permission to say that, and meeting up for at least a Zoom meeting or a coffee where you two can get to know each other and and really work together so that you can help each other out in your job search. So in that sense, you're all friends of mine now. And so when you all connect with each other, treat it like that so that everybody can feel a little bit better and be connected already. All right. So I'm looking forward to LinkedIn's and the webinar chat. I haven't seen that many yet, and I want you to all get on it, unless you're driving or you're cooking with really, really hot food. All right. Wonderful. So once you do get hired, what do? In this market, a new job is indeed a new beginning, but it is not a time to rest. You got to keep going, and now it's time to perform. And when you're in that new job, what it really means is that you have to learn new skills, get new duties, develop your leadership skills, build your AI skills, and grow your communication skills along the way so that all of those can become wins for where you truly want to be. And while you're in that new job, then things to keep in mind is that a job is rarely forever, and that as you register those accomplishments, write them down, and then stay in touch with old recruiters and those you network with. So really keep that in mind. And, as somebody said here, they found a job, but never stopped their job search. Marilyn writes, can I get a full access copy to these slides? I'm a little slower at reading these things. Yes, absolutely. Please email me and I will send you, and I'll put them on, SlideShare as well. So we've come to the end of our webinar today. One thing that I want you all to really understand as we make it to the next step of this webinar is that you've learned about the trends and you learn where the job market is. I want you now to take action. And this is going to be a set of events coming up, some resources that I think may help you. And this will help you see what we at Albert's List are all about and what you can do as well to be effective in your job search. So the first thing I want you to do is consider signing up or at least learning about our 6-week job search bootcamp, which starts September 22nd. And what this is a 6-week program where you can accelerate your learning of job search skills, drink through the fire hose, and really get accountability from your peers to be really great in your job search. And so what we have going on this coming Monday and the Monday after, September 8th and 15th, is how to get unstuck in your job search. And that's where the QR code leads you. I don't want you to pay me just yet. I want you to go to the teaser webinar and I want you to tell me, and I want you to see what it is that we're going to teach you so that you know that we are here to give you value. And so through these 6 weeks, you're going to learn interviewing skills, personal branding, LinkedIn, resume, negotiation, how to read the room, and so much more. And we also have office hours and everything in between as well, where you get to talk to yours truly. Fontella is a graduate and she can tell you all about it. If you prefer to do it yourself, you can also get 55 hours worth of content for just $27. These are all previous Albert's List webinars that are organized in a way that can help you get your job search going in a meaningful way. And so this includes everything from videos on how to discover what you want, what to do once you get hired, how to use AI in your job search, and also 18 sample mock interviews. And so you can get your kit today at our Gumroad page with code SPRING2025, or you can sign up for our ongoing office hours. And I'll include these in our content as well here. I also want to encourage you to sign up for our mock interview with Albert's List. And this is completely free. All you have to do is agree to do it in front of a Zoom studio audience like the one you see today. We've done almost 135 of these since the start of the pandemic, and you get interviewed by a Fortune 500 recruiter or a senior software engineer who are both career coaches in their respective rights. And what you do is you send me a resume and a job description. We'll find the time to meet, and we will do a mock interview in a group setting because coaching for one is coaching for all. And so you'll come out of this interview feeling like you're more prepared and understanding how the interviewing world has changed. You can also pick up AI skills with our upcoming webinars, and we have 3 of them coming up this month. One is on how to use ChatGPT to strategize your job search in 1 hour. Another is how to build a side hustle with AI in 1 weekend. And another is how to get an overview of what's possible with AI and how to build AI skills for your career. You can sign up on Eventbrite, and this takes you to the general Eventbrite page. You can also get the most out of what you do on LinkedIn. We have a webinar called The 5 Secrets of Landing Your Next Job with LinkedIn on October 8th. And this one is already filling up with 42 RSVPs. You can unlock the secrets of using LinkedIn for networking and get more mileage using AI to figure out how you can better talk to people. And if none of those things appeal to you and you really feel like you're continuing to get gaslit, I have one more webinar to invite you to, and that's just to be informed on the state of the job market. We do a monthly webinar called how to on we do a monthly webinar that basically gives the jobs report and the inflation updates. And this features Dr. Riley White, a finance professor and professor of business at the University of New Mexico. He has a PhD in economics. And what he shares is the trends moving the job market that include inflation, investments, recession fears. And this coming month, we're also going to answer the question of whether AI is truly in a bubble or not. So I invite you to come with your questions. I do send the questions to him, so they do get answered. And you're going to see all the information that you need to make an informed decision. Stuart, I am very, very glad that you enjoy the webinars and that we haven't turned you off yet and that you continue to come back. I am very, very appreciative that you take time to be here. And the final thing is, if you would like to stay in touch, or if you'd like to be a part of Albert's List, or just subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can do so via these 3 QR codes. And so with that, I want to give, I want to open this up to some questions so that we can all do what we got to do. Does anybody have any questions? I've been answering them live time as we go. So please feel free to see what's going on. Yeah, most of the replays do make it to YouTube. That is correct. Stuart, if you have a question, please type it in the webinar chat or the Q&A, and I'll be happy to answer. Yeah, no mic. Perfect. Thank you, Pablo. All right. So if you don't have a question, what is my one piece of advice to include on a resume if you are switching industries? Yeah, so Maria, if you're looking to switch industries, it's all about your transferable skills. So if you're a quality assurance person, which I think that's what you said you were early on, and please correct me, you need to show how those skills transfer from from one industry to the next. And that means showing that you understand the industry. And that also means showing that you know what the new industry needs and communicating that with the interview. Fontella, can we remind people that pivoting is so important in this economy? Yes, I want to go back to that again. We mentioned this earlier in our presentation that pivoting was incredibly crucial uh, to this job market. And I want to mention that again, right? That if it's time to be creative and look for new options, then you must absolutely do that. Um, you cannot sell yourself short, and you also must look for something that will put food on the table and pay the bill. Survival jobs can also be the gateway to your new career. So if you need to take a contract, do that. If you need to move into like nonprofits, do that as well. Anything that will help you get there is a good job. Calvin, thank you, Master Albert. I appreciate that. Stuart says, do you have any outlook on venture funding? Do you have any info on the outlook for venture funding and recommendations on what stage startup to prioritize if you have a choice? So my opinion on venture funding is it's probably going to be AI, cloud, and cybersecurity based for at least a good like year or so. And I would say it depends on what you're willing to stomach when it comes to what stage. If you're somebody who can roll with the punches and pivot and make changes, and you see excitement every single day and you don't want to change anything, then you know what? Anything from angel round all the way through Series A is probably good for you. If you're looking for a little bit more stability than anything beyond a Series B or Series C, is probably what you should be looking for as well. Uh, yes. So, okay, cool. You can't find us in the network. Share page here. Oh, true. Michael writes, I've been looking for the past year. On one hand, people tell me that it's common today to be at 1 year mark. On the other hand, I'm sure they're being honest about the liability of my declining value. Yeah, so that's one of the things that I really want to emphasize, Michael, is that um if you need to look for a job and you need to um and you need the income, then take that contract. Be creative as much as you possibly can. Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate it. Um, and so you need to find ways to get that value and, go through it. So if the boot camp is going to help you, then, feel free to sign up. We're happy to help. If you're also looking for, more one-on-one help, I can talk to you about that as well. And if you're looking for something in between, I'm thinking that our overall event calendar has something for everybody. So check out what's there. And if there's an event that you haven't that you want to see that's not on there, I'm also happy to organize that as well. Marilyn says, okay, you need a longer form presentation. Yeah, I'll get that to you and just send you. Fontella says, also contacting many times allows you to learn new additional skills while searching for a new permanent role. Yeah, contracting does allow you to do that. Thank you. Yeah. All right, so we are coming up to the last minute here. I want to thank again everybody for joining us today. There's still 47 of you here. Share your LinkedIn. Do some networking while I look for the remaining questions here. I really want to help out as many of you as I can while we are still. Um, can you talk about how I can use AI in the world of where people talk and speak a lot? How can I offer more versus AI into the world of news business and political talk shows? Um, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Are you saying like summarizing talk shows and so forth? Let's see. Fontella says, keep an eye on state-sponsored training programs. They can help you build on your experience. Absolutely. Thank you, E. I'm happy that you're here. All right. So we're coming to the end of this. If you have any questions, you know where to find me on LinkedIn, YouTube, and my Facebook group. Please join in all three of these areas, and we are happy soon. I want to thank you all again for spending the time that you have on this Thursday morning, afternoon, evening, or Friday, wherever you may be in this world. We have so many more webinars coming up, and we've shared them in our Eventbrite page above. So we look forward to seeing you soon. And I wish you a wonderful Friday and weekend ahead. And thank you so much. Have a great evening, and we will send the follow. Bye-bye.